Well, I'll start. It was I think it was the best draft for Eric DeCosta since he's come on as the new general manager of the Ravens. I think it was almost like a redemption for him. I think he's getting a lot of pressure from the outside to live up to that Ozzie Newsome, and it's totally unfair. He's done a really good job, obviously, but I think this is. I mean, time will tell. All signs point to this being a slam dunk draft for the Ravens.
Sorry about that. I was having some audio issues there. Yeah, so me personally thought the draft was amazing. Like Jordan said, it really was EDC's coming out party. And I think he hit a home run. Couldn't be more proud of what the Ravens got. Let's start by talking about some of the picks, actually. So, like, first off the chart, arguably probably the best safety in the draft class. What are your thoughts, guys?
Well, he wasn't supposed to be there,
It's typical.
but yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, watching him, I mean, he can virtually play every position on the field. I think the only thing he didn't line up was that defensive tackle, which who knows? You never know in our new defense that we may have. I was really stoked. I mean, right out the gates, you have the trade. Now we got to talk about that because before you talk about the next pick, you have to talk about the trade. And I remember, we're sitting here and it's like trade. Like, who could it have been? No other than Hollywood Brown. It's now come out that D Hop, has been suspended for 6 games. So that trade makes a lot more sense on the Arizona Cardinals side, which in a moment for me personally, it didn't. It was like, all right, that's random. They have one of the best receivers in the league. And now you're bringing in another, I mean, he was a first round pick wide receiver. Obviously, whether he led up, he met that margin is neither here nor there. But what do you guys think about that trade? I don't think.
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's neither here nor there because, I mean, that's the thing. It's like the Ravens they spent a first round pick on him originally, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think he lived up to that first round price tag, but they end up getting that back in the trade. And you're right, Gerald, the trade does make more sense knowing that there was that suspension to DeAndre Hopkins. I believe the Cardinals are also dealing with an injury for Christian Kirk, if I'm not mistaken. So, but
Christian
this is
Kirk
kind of
Kirk
like a
actually
double
gone.
got.
He
win.
went to
Yeah.
Jacksonville. That's why they needed another wide receiver. They got their receivers left. All they had was D Hop.
Yeah.
Right. So from that perspective, it makes more sense for the Cardinals. I still think it's a desperation trade on their part. But the Ravens did a good job picking up a first round pick for a receiver that I think proved to be more mediocre than living up to his first round price tag.
And I think it's interesting is that they use a 25th round pick. It was actually Eric DeCosta's first ever draft pick was Marquise Hollywood Brown with 25
That's
overall.
wild.
Trade him away for one, and then they take Linderbaum at center, who's 25 overall. So it comes full circle for the Ravens, and they get a guy that can protect Lamar Jackson. So even though he loses the receiver, he actually gains protection on the line, which is actually probably more important to keeping him upright.
Yeah, and I think some of those free agency moves, bringing in Morgan Moses, definitely. Me personally, is one of those things where bringing a lineman didn't seem as important after some of the signings we did, but I couldn't be happier with this. I mean, you're locking up the middle of your offensive line for years to come, and I mean, he's a very athletic kid. He's fast. He's a little bit on the small side, but let me tell you, on a pulling play, you want a quick guard. I mean, quick center coming at downfield at the D lineman. So I think it was a great pick. Um, just in general, that draft was just so crazy. Number one, we had 1,000,001 picks. It was one of those.
I can't believe we made all our fourth round
What
picks.
was that, Ross?
I can't believe we made all of our fourth round
I
picks
can't either. But also
where they were supposed
no,
to.
one thing I also can't believe is the fact we took two tight ends in the fourth round. Now was
I can.
tenure.
2019 worked pretty well.
But are you not surprised that we didn't pick a wide receiver? At least one.
They wanted one, but that run killed them. The run of the top wide receivers killed them.
I'm indifferent. I'll tell you why. They spent 3 and 4th round picks on receivers and brought them in. Like Duvernay was a 3rd round pick. Like, I mean, why would you take a receiver in the 3rd round or 4th round when you already have them?
Yeah.
Just give them a chance. I think that's what they're going to do, and they're probably going to go out and get them a free agent receiver to add into this core, but I think they like what they have on the team. So I'm not. It's a little surprising, and I think the Steelers actually did take
Yes.
that speed receiver from Clemson and like really burn them. But
Steelers took the one receiver we were going to take in the later rounds just before we could get him.
I like the tight end they got in the. We'll probably talk about this later, but the tight end they got likely. It really, I think, to me, is more that big body wide out than any of the tight ends. So that's actually a really interesting play for the Ravens.
So it'll be interesting to see where they line him up this year. I mean, we do know in our offense we do like multiple tight end sets, so having multiple tight ends doesn't hurt at all. But it was just really weird, you know. It's like you get a tight end, then we draft who I think and me and Jordan actually had a pretty good conversation about the punter, probably one of the best punters out there that were available.
And I guess they felt desperate enough to get him because the kicker just went off the board to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And then as it turned out, I want to say, I forget what team went. I think it was Tampa. Took a punter, a kicker, like a punter 2 picks
I thought
later.
it was the Browns. Maybe was it the Browns?
The Browns got a kicker.
Yeah,
and then
that's what they got a kicker.
That punter.
Yeah.
2 picks later. And so I guess EDC felt the pressure to get the guy they wanted.
Like I said, I heard that this is the highest punter they've had graded in a while. They were like, we got to get him.
And they saved $2 million in cap if they cut Cook.
Yeah.
Do you think Cook is on this team come September?
Yeah, I think we see a new Wolfpack, and you know it's definitely something, you know, we've been kind of projecting. You know, Cox went away. What was it last season? The end of the season before. And Sam Cook, he's definitely getting up in there in age. Very reliable. You know, one of those Ravens that have played. I think, what did they say? He has played the most games as a Raven. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's got a ring.
Yeah, he's got a ring. He's played the most game. I mean, he's not here another year. There's no way in the world that he's here, especially with the talent that I think we just picked up. But, yeah, I mean, it is crazy, you know, just getting a punter. And then the last pick, I think, you know, is really the most interesting because it goes to show you the dynamic of the NFL, just how, you know, skill sets are, you know, more favored than others. Our last pick was the running back, Tyler Batty, who is a beast. Easily, I think, early 2000s, early round draft pick, easily. I've been watching highlights of him. I know Jordan has too. Me and him have been talking about it. Yeah, Jordan, tell us a little bit about him, bro.
I just like how he moves, and he had, I think one of his highlights was a toe-touching grab touchdown catch. And you don't see that running backs do that. And I think the Ravens really like how versatile he is. And I also wonder if it spells doom for Hill as a number 3 running back. I think the Ravens will carry 4 running backs, especially with the re-signing of Ricard.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, because the last few seasons they've had like different injury, you know, or I'm sorry, different types of depth because of COVID, right? Like they've had extra spots they were allowed to have. They were able to move people to practice squads, correct? Like that's all changed right now, correct?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
But I assume probably it won't be as.
I would agree that Tyler Beatty was one of the more interesting late round picks made by the Ravens because he's kind of like a Gio Bernard, Danny Woodhead type of running back. He's definitely that's the thing about this draft class. After you had like the first couple running backs go, it really just came down to satellite backs after that. So that's really what he is. But I mean, in the 6th round, I think he's a good one. And, you know, definitely if there's going to be injuries again or something like that, even on 3rd downs, he'll check in, I'm sure. I do think that was a good pick in the 6th round.
Yeah, definitely. Now, who do you think has like the biggest potential for day one impact? I mean,
how do we just overpass David Ajabo pick?
My apologies, Ross.
How do we not talk about probably one of the steals of the draft?
That is facts, Ross. Tell us about it.
He's supposed to be a top 14 pick at least until he tore his Achilles. We got him right at pick 45.
Now,
I personally would have gone and got him in the 1st round to get an extra year on him, but we stuck hold and got him. We're at 14 in the 2nd round.
now with David Ajabo, like how long of an injury would that be? Like, what is his recovery time? Because obviously that played a part into him dropping so far. I wonder what his recovery time. Hopefully, I mean he'll be able to suit up.
Nowadays, it's not as bad as it used to. He probably won't play this year, but
I don't know if that's true.
good.
I've heard that he might be back by like Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Him and Bowser.
so those are fresh legs for a playoff run.
And the bonus with him is, guess what? He doesn't have to learn. He doesn't have to learn the defense.
Nope. Yep.
He knows the defense. All he can focus on now is getting healthy, and he can sit in like he'll be there. But any other team he went to, he'd have to learn the defense. What am I? He literally just played in this defense.
Pretty incredible, actually. And there's got to be something incredible just to say, like, in terms of being able to play either with your old college quarterback or your old college coach. That's just really incredible. Yeah, I think.
He's also with his high school teammate,
Really?
Odafe.
Really? Okay, so that's just way too perfect to even happen. It's like, that's going to be one of the most deadliest pass rushes. Once it gets healthy, yeah, that's a really good thing to have, especially in those later, colder months, getting ready for a playoff run. No, that's the steal of the draft, definitely. I have to agree with you right there. Now, obviously, he's not going to have day one impact, but who do you guys think might?
I think I have one, and I think it actually relates to the Rams in this one for you, Justin. But I remember when the Patriots took that offensive lineman in the first round, it just blew the Rams head coach's mind that they waited. They took a guy from Chattanooga that early, and then they showed footage after the Ravens made their third round pick in Travis Travis Jones. He was tossing that lineman like a rag doll at the pro days, and that's the guy that I think is going to have a huge day one impact. Is this guy from the third round who's just a beast. I think he had the best grades other than Jordan Davies at defensive tackle, and the Ravens waited and waited and got him in the third, and he had a first round grade. And so I think
We
that's
got
the guy that
four first round picks essentially this
I'm
draft.
excited about him.
No, I definitely think I'm excited for Kyle Hamilton. I mean, one of the things that used to piss me off last season was just how trash our defense. Hold up one moment, actually. Something's happening. It's like some interference going on. Sorry about that. All right.
Well, that's what defensive back injuries will do to you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said that's what defensive backs injuries will do to you. Then next thing you know, Joe Burrow's tossing five touchdowns or whatever the hell against your team.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm wondering what it does to Chuck Clark, who suddenly went from the guy with the green dot to the Ravens don't have to trade him. They don't have to cut him because he's not worth any. Like they're not going to gain any money by getting rid of him. But I do wonder about his role with all these safeties because they did win it and they got Williams from I think it was his last name, the guy from the Saints.
I think his role will still be strong because I think Hamilton this year, at least to start, will be you go here. They're going to use his flexibility, and Williams will be this free safety that will roam back there.
Yeah, I could.
And then we got Stevens probably going to slot down to the slot every now and then.
Yeah, I think Kyle Hamilton, I mean, me personally, like Ross said, he's definitely not going to, I think, Chuck's definitely going to be wearing the green dot, but I could see Kyle being in that position. I mean, you're talking about a very intelligent football player, just from all the position he's played, just how he played at Notre Dame. You're talking about a guy who can run a defense potentially, and I think, I hate to say it, the Ravens haven't had a lot of leadership in the last few years. I think leadership is definitely one of those things that critics have definitely gotten after the Ravens about. And I think, within a year or two, a couple of years, you could definitely see him stepping up into a bigger role. I'm excited to see him play just because he can play all over, honestly. I again, like I said, watching Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase just light our defense up, yeah, PTSD. No, but...
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely one of the best drafts the Ravens have had. It was one of those ones where I know me personally, I didn't go home just like wondering, hey, what's gonna happen, with the team. I felt very good about every pick we had, honestly. Interference.
Yeah, even that Alabama corner, injury risk obviously, and that's why he fell. But the Ravens obviously depth will become an issue at some point. But right now they have a guy they can just plug and play who real polished, being a college ball player coming out of Bama system, knows Marlon Humphrey, and so I think that could be a steal of the draft too. If he stays healthy,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big if. That's a solid guy that allows you to put a Marlon Humphrey in the nickel
Yeah.
and really have really physical guys on the outside. Marcus Peters.
And again, it also replaces a hole. I mean, we just got rid of Tavon Young, so this is another guy that could suit up day one and see some playing time. Yeah, but again, like I said, overall great draft. I think there's a lot of playmakers there right out the gates. Football's back. I'm just so excited. I'm just so happy that we have something to finally talk about. Rookie camps, I imagine, should be starting any moment now. We'll definitely have coverage of that. But before we go, any last words?
Gerald, didn't you want to talk about like who's gonna make the roster, who's gonna get cut, like that sort of thing?
Fair. Yeah, so like,
Or do you see like all of these rookies making the final roster?
no, definitely not. Going down the list, and again, it's so hard to pick right now. I could definitely see. I'm trying to think of just even out of this. Obviously, I think the issue comes even when you look at this. It's going to be guys that are already on the roster that I think are going to be more likely on the bubble. To me personally,
Yeah.
I think
After this draft.
Yeah, I think this draft was we need youth. So here's a bunch of playmakers we have. We did great in the draft. We got guys that can suit up day one. But there's a lot of guys on the team that I think are going to be on the bubble. I mean, that running backs room, we have like 6 running
We
backs.
just drafted 2 tight ends. I think Boyle's probably gone.
I don't think Boyle's gone.
I
I,
don't-
really don't. I think he blocks too well.
They just
I just
paid
think
Boyle. I can't. We need a
I
blocking
think
tight end.
Oliver's gone.
Well,
Sure.
and that's worth talking about, right? Because you drafted 2 tight ends,
Mhm.
right? And the question is, are you actually going to need both these guys, or is one going to beat the other out in a competition?
I mean, unless
I
he
actually like
likely goes
Charlie
wide
Kolar
receiver,
a lot,
then
but this Isaiah Likely guy, I mean, yeah, he was very dominant at a small school, but I think he's too slow for an NFL tight end. And if he can't show that he can block, I think that's going to be an issue for him.
I mean, exactly. You're 100% right. Because if you can't block in the NFL, there's no reason to really have you at tight end unless you're catching touchdowns like Travis Kelce or a Mark Andrews, So unless you're doing that,
I
you have
love on everything, but he needs to get back and healthy, though.
Sure.
We haven't had him. That's why we've had Oliver and Tomlinson trying to block.
Yeah.
Honestly, the whole thing with drafting the 2 tight ends reminds me of the whole like Hayden Hurst, Mark Andrews draft. Obviously, it's different because you're talking later round. These guys kind of got picked close together. But I do think Kolar is going to win out that tight end battle this time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would have
it's
to
a
agree
tight
with you.
red zone machine.
Yeah. This kid's massive. I would definitely have to agree with you now. Like you were saying, Likely, who could potentially be a bigger wide receiver. Again, speed is going to play a factor into him. So, yeah.
Okay, go on.
No, you can continue. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the Ravens notoriously hate giving up the draft picks. The fourth round picks changes everything. Like they're not 7th round guys. These are all the 4th round picks, and the Ravens do not like to cut those guys too early in the process. And so I think just that alone sort of shows you that I think guys like Oliver are going to be gone. Guys like I think the guys in the offensive line right now that are probably going to have to lose their job because even that 400-pound monster they got from Minnesota that can play tackle.
Yeah.
They did so well in this draft.
Like,
Maybe
He
we
played
talked about it.
quarterback.
Took him like 40-something overall.
again, I don't see a scenario where the Ravens could have done any better given, what we needed and where we needed it. I honestly think the Ravens have a best case scenario, and I think message to anybody probably on the roster, man, show up at camp. Show up at camp because these rookies look like they're hungry and these rookies can play. We know they can make plays, and again, a lot of these guys are going to be day one players and not just on special teams, and that's saying something. Yeah, but I want to give out a game ball. We haven't given out a game ball in a year and a half? It was 2020 the last game ball we have? So we're going to give out a game ball. The game ball goes to Eric DaCosta on his first official draft. A+ rating. Good job to you, sir. Yeah, hats off, man, to that front office. The Ravens consistently killing it, almost 30 years consistently. In just a offseason. So congrats to EDC in that front office. But other than that, is there anything else, guys, that I'm missing?
I mean, I'd say even for me, who's more of a critic of the Ravens out of the four of us,
Yeah.
I'd say it's a top 5 draft actually. I actually like what they did. I mean, again, like they didn't get a receiver, but as has been mentioned, there was a run on receivers, kind of hard to fit that in.
Yeah.
But they got a bunch of good guys, particularly in the early part of the draft. So it was good. I mean, it wasn't a Malik Willis in the 3rd round type of draft, but good draft.
No,
I do wonder if they're gonna do any repair damage with Lamar Jackson, who was obviously not happy that Hollywood left, even though he did not know that happened. Like
There's no way.
just realize.
Hollywood, I think, said he told him. There's no way he didn't know. Hollywood was in Arizona. He told EDC after the season, "I want out."
Yeah.
That's why I think Hollywood was not with Lamar when they was practicing throwing. It was Bateman.
Easily.
It was Prochet. It was Victor Benjamin or whatever that 6'5" guy we had in our practice squad.
And that's
A
what's
lot of question
sorry.
marks with this receiving core, though. To be fair, like you don't know what Bateman can do in year 2. Is he going to take that step to be that number 1 guy? You've got a lot of unknown guys in Duvernay and Prochet and Wallace and then after that, like there is no one else in this roster. So unless they go out and they get a guy, a veteran like a Willie Snead that they had in the past or a Watkins, like I'm a little nervous about who Lamar is throwing to because then if one of those guys get hurt, we're in deep creek.
Oh, it's going to be really interesting to see how the receivers pan out for the Ravens this year, especially if they don't sign anyone else. Because, I mean, yeah, you got Mark Andrews, and he's great, and I think Bateman's going to be good, but the rest of them I don't know about. It's kind of an unproven receiving core. We're just going to have to see what happens with that.
From what I heard, they got some good undrafted receivers they signed. I think they got one guy from Alabama, a guy from Oregon. So, and they already had some guys on their team already.
Yeah. No, again, like I said,
I see him signing a veteran at some point before training camp.
there's no way we go into training camp without a veteran. I mean, and there's still a few out there that are potentially could be.
I think we're going old school Ravens on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we sealed that up. But like I said, with Jordan, I agree. Looking at this roster, if I was playing with this receiving core on Madden, I'm hoping I can just run slants with, or post routes with Bateman at this point because that's pretty much it. That and Mark Andrews, who, yeah, but they're gonna double Mark, so again, we're gonna need receivers just down the stretch. But that does it for our episode tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We're back. And we'll be doing it live just like this in this format, actually going forward. So don't forget to tune in. We'll try to do it most Tuesday nights, seeing how that is the beginning of the new NFL week. So that does it for us at Charm City Beat. Don't forget to like and subscribe and have a good night.